Okay, this will be part number 6 of our videos that we're doing on the rapture. And in our last session, we left off in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And so we want to start with that again today. I'm going to start reading at verse 1 of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Paul says, "But of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord, or the day of Yahuwah, the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night." Now let me stop here for a minute. I mentioned that the day of the Lord, or the day of Yahuwah, is not the same thing as the rapture. The day of the Lord, or the day of Yahuwah, is when the actual, we use the term tribulation period, but the tribulation period it's not stated in the scriptures that particular way. The correct way to define this time frame, of course, being the day of the Lord, or the day of Yahuwah, it's also referred to, and most accurately, as Daniel's 70th week. There's 7 years left to fulfill the prophecy from the prophet Daniel about the 70 weeks that were determined upon the people of Israel, or Yasharel. I don't have time to go into all of that because it would just take away from what I'm trying to teach on. But most people that are listening to this video understand that there's 7 years still to be fulfilled out of that 70 week of Daniel. There's 69 weeks that have already transpired. The prophet Daniel said that after 69 weeks, the Mashiach, or the Messiah, would be cut off. And of course, that's making reference to his crucifixion. But there's still 7 years left to be fulfilled of that prophecy about the people of Israel, or Yasharel. And so that 7-year time frame is the time frame. When I say the tribulation period, that's what I'm referring to, is that 7-year time frame. It's not it's divided up into two 3.5 year time frames. One being defined at the middle point of that 7 years, when the so-called Antichrist will come in and desecrate the temple. And that's when the Yahudim, or the Jews, will recognize that the Antichrist has deceived them, and they will flee Jerusalem at that time. But the time frame, the whole time frame of the 70th week of Daniel, is for 7 years, and it's divided up into 3.5 years for the beginning of the tribulation, or the 3.5 years of Daniel. And then there's the latter part, which is sometimes referred to as the Great Tribulation, which Mashiach said that, talk about in Matthew 24, describing those last 3.5 years as the Great Tribulation. In other words, it'll be greater than what they've already experienced. And so, just want to clarify that with you. So let me continue reading here. It says, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahuwah so comes as a thief in the night." Now, he didn't say the rapture comes as a thief in the night. Well, he's saying the day of Yahuwah comes as a thief in the night. And so he's revealing. Of course, if you do this study, as we're going to go through this, because he's already stated, the Apostle Paul, that we have not been appointed to wrath, and we know that this time frame is of the day of the Lord is a time frame of wrath, where 21 judgments, if you read through the book of Revelation, you'll see that there's going to be 21 judgments being released upon the earth. Now, the purpose of them, again, is to destroy the sinners off the earth. It's made reference to that in the scripture. That's one of the purposes of the day of the Lord, or the day of Yahuwah, is to remove the sinners off the earth. Now, people will be saved during the tribulation period. And let me make that clear. People will be saved during the tribulation period. But these people that are saved during the tribulation, they're not part of the church, or the body of Mashiach, of the bride of Mashiach. We have those that are saved, have been saved and born again by the set apart Spirit, and given the Spirit are not only the body of Messiah, but we're also identified as the bride of the Mashiach, of the Messiah. And because of that fact, once the rapture takes place, all living believers on this earth will be taken off. Of course, those that have died before us in Messiah will also be caught up together, and we'll be caught up together to meet Yahusha in the air. And so, and people that are saved, and once that happens, there's nobody saved on the earth, on the planet. But there will be during that 7-year time frame. We know that because the scripture defines these group of people as having to give up their lives for the witness of the Messiah, the Mashiach. But this is not, these people that are referred to in the book of Revelation, they're not the church. They are not born again believers that were say left behind or whatever. They just weren't, they weren't saved. They didn't get saved until after the tribulation had begun. But they'll be required to give up their lives for the witness of the Mashiach, for their testimony. And so we're privileged and blessed if you get saved. That's why it's important for people to get saved before this time frame takes place, because we will escape these judgments that are coming upon the earth. And but people that are left behind, they are what the scripture refers to as tribulation saints. They're saints, but they're the people who have come to know Yahusha during that time frame, during the tribulation. But they will not escape, the judgments or because of that will become upon the earth, because they are here during that time frame that these judgments are going to be released. And there's no guarantee of that for them in the scriptures. But there is a promise for the church, before the tribulation period begins, that our Father has made to us. Yahusha himself in John chapter 14, verses 1 through 4, he also alludes to the fact that he was going away to prepare a place for us, and that he would come back for us to take us to be with him, and so shall we ever be with him. That's, of course, another reference to the rapture of the church. And the key to understanding a lot of these end times events is understanding the difference between the church, between Israel, and the saints that will be saved after the rapture. Once the tribulation begins, that people will be saved during that time frame. So if you get these three groups mixed up, you're going to be confused about a lot of things in end times events. So we'll pick this up on our next video and go in more detail to help you to understand. I hope this has been a blessing to you. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and gosh, there's just so much to really have to put out there to answer these questions. But we'll get to it if you just sort of be patient and understand that we've got a lot to share, but we can't do it all in just a 10-minute video. So hold tight. We'll be back again soon, and thank you again for all of your encouragement. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. It encourages me to keep going, and when I see that people are being blessed, and that my time that I'm doing this is not just in vain, that somebody is being helped by it, and that encourages me a lot, and I thank you for it. Until next time, shalom.